A well-stocked pantry is very important, well, and especially in times like this. So you want to make sure nothing harms what you put in your pantry. And I'm not talking about zombie hordes or neighbors next door coming in with, I don't know, knives or guns to get at your food stuff. What I'm talking about is those notorious pantry pests. And I'm going to tell you 2 things that you should always have on hand to protect your pantry, just in case you have an infestation. Well, I think it's the rare house or apartment that has never seen a mouse. Now, we live in a wooded area, and in the fall, we have mice who look and go, that looks like a pretty nice place to live. And it could be in our outbuilding or garage, but sometimes it's actually in the house. And believe it or not, they say that mice can get in from a hole this size, the size of a dime. I look at that and I go, God, really? I mean, that is awful small. I guess they're contortionists. And if you think of it, they say that same thing I think about bats. And really, bats are just flying mice, right? So you want to make sure to block as many holes as you can so they don't get into your house. But you know what? They find ways in. And they love a heated home in the winter. And even more, they love to munch on what you keep in your pantry. They especially like to munch on cereal and fruit, but even candy. I mean, it's really amazing what you can find little nibbles on. And I know many of us keep what we buy for our pantry in the original package, that cardboard or kind of more flimsy plastic packaging. And mice can definitely eat right through that. Now, I wanted to show you, I found out the hard way. When I first started dehydrating, I vacuum sealed everything in my bags, right? Because then I knew, I didn't even need an oxygen absorber, there's nothing in it, and it's sealed. And then I put it down in a safe place, what I call my extended pantry, which is in the basement. And it's nice and cooler and darker, so things will keep much longer. But, I don't remember how long it was there, and I decided, I think I ran out of carrots, I think it was. I'm gonna run down and get some so I can throw them in the soup. And there was little nibbles in the bags, and those little black feces also near it. So I knew right away, mice had eaten into it. And often, even more disgusting, they didn't actually eat what was in the bag. They decided, that's not what they wanted. But they left a hole in it, right? So it was no longer vacuum sealed. And I had to throw everything away. And that's when I learned it is really, really important to package your things correctly. Now, I prefer canning jars. They're glass. You put a tight lid on. They cannot nibble through glass. Some people also used tins, like repurposed popcorn tins. And that can work too, depending on what you're storing. I know I store all of my rabbit and my chicken feed in metal garbage cans, because as long as I put that lid on tight, the mice can't get in. But sometimes I think I have it on tight, open it up, and then all of a sudden you hear me squeal because there's 3 mice eating in the food. I mean, if there's a little tiny space, they can get in. So you can use glass jars, you can use tins, and you can also use the heavier plastic containers. They rarely chew through those. And of course, you can use the plastic buckets, food safe buckets with gamma lids. We all do that. But if you just put something in a Mylar bag, a mouse can chew through that bag. So that's not safe. So the first thing you need to do is protect your food, right? Keep it in the right container so it isn't a smorgasbord for mice in your house. But the second thing you have to do is have a way to kill the mouse or trap them if they do come into your house. You may want to consider one of these. This is Peep. This is my son's cat. She hates being held unless she asks for it, so she's not happy right now. But she is a fantastic mouser. And believe it or not all cats are mousers. There's a problem though with her because she's so good. She decides that maybe we'd like to play with them in the house. So at 2 o'clock in the morning when she has to come in, I get up all groggly. I have to make sure her meow sounds right and turn on the light and make sure a little tail or a little foot isn't sticking out of her mouth. Because numerous times she's brought them in and dumped them in my son's bed. You know, what a wonderful gift. The problem is it's alive and it runs off. So she thinks she's giving us a great gift. She is a great mouser, but like I said, it is a little bit of a problem. Many of you are familiar with our black cat Xander, and for some reason, he's not photobombing this video. He must be napping somewhere. We don't know what kind of mouser he's going to be because we're just starting to let him go outside a bit, and there have not been any mice in the kitchen, but he is great at catching stink bugs. He will jump really, really high to get them, and then yes, he eats them. So he's a great stink bug killer. But I do want to caution that not all cats are great mousers. So I really suggest you also have some traps on hand. I just bought a 6-pack. These are traps I like to use. They are plastic, but boy, they really have a force when it shuts. Let me show you. So the mouse goes right here. Oh, and it jumps right off. So as you can see, it definitely is going to kill the mouse. Okay? And this trap itself is real easy to load. So on the bottom here you got a little hole here. And this is where you want to put, we use peanut butter. They seem to love peanut butter. So you just want to, you don't want to have it so they can actually eat it without going all the way in. You want to make sure it's there, but they have to work for it a little. Okay. So we take that and we just put it back in here. And there, let's see, I don't know if you can see it, but there it is underneath, right? And I found these to be very effective in our downstairs, our extended pantry. And that door is always shut so the cats cannot get in there. And we can have a mouse problem there. But this takes care of it. I've tried the electronic ones because that supposedly was more humane. We did not have a good catch rate with that. I mean, the nice thing about those, you don't even have to see the dead mouse, right? You just take the box out, empty it, put it back in. But we didn't find them to be very effective, and of course you have to replace batteries. Now we also tried the, in our outbuilding, the bucket method. I have a video on it here. But to be honest, I found that rather inhumane, especially when I went back there and one wasn't dead yet and it was struggling for its life. I do not want to torture an animal. I just want to kill them fast. You know, my kids had pet mice when they were growing up, and we even had a pet rat. So I think they're rather cute. I don't go eek generally when I see them in the house. So I don't want them in my house. I will kill them if they're here, but I don't necessarily want to torture them, which to me, that's kind of what the water bucket system is like. Now, some people have had great success with using certain smells, because certain smells mice don't seem to like, and they might use peppermint or lavender. I mean, there's a bunch of them, and put those essential oils around, or actually lavender flowers, dried flowers, and that seems to repel mice. I don't know. In my case, I want to make sure that they aren't here. But we have for many, many years used something that also uses smell. It's little packets. Let me show you. It's called Cab, and I think it was originally developed for people who have RVs and put it in storage, because you know mice can infest in there. And we used that way back when we learned. I had plastic bins that I kept my Christmas stuff in. but somehow mice would get into them and they might chew on some of the ornaments and pee and defecate, and did not like that. So we started using these cab sachets, kind of speak, and we've had very good success, and we have not had mice in any of these areas. I tried it in my pantry, but that's a more big open area downstairs, and it really wasn't as successful. Oh, I should mention something else. Of course, there's rat poison. You can use that for rodents. I would never use that because that poisoning could also kill any pets that eat the mice that have ingested it. And also, if you're not worried about poisons around your pets and kids, also what can happen is the mice doesn't die, or the mouse doesn't die instantly. So it can go back in your walls to its little nest and then die. And then you have, a huge stench coming out of your wall. So that's not, to me, a great idea. Now you also have to worry about mice because they love to chew, and they can chew on your electric wires and cause problems in your house. Could even cause a fire. I know once I had a problem with my van, and it turned out that mice had partially nibbled through some wires. They had a little nest there, and so sometimes something works and sometimes it didn't. So mice can cause problems by nibbling on your electric wires. They can also carry disease such as salmonella and tapeworms. So just good thing not having mice in your pantry. So have some kind of system, some kind of traps, and have them on hand so you have them right ready to use. You don't have to run to the hardware store or someplace else, because there could be a stay-at-place order and you might not be able to leave. So have some good ways to catch mice or to prevent them from ever going in your pantry. Now, to me, the second pest we have to worry about is not nearly as cute as the house mouse. This is the Indian meal moth. And I've more than once had an infestation of these in your pantry. All of a sudden I open my upstairs pantry door. I've never had them downstairs. And all these little flying moths are greeting me. And what has happened? Well, these moths like to eat grains and nuts and a variety of different products. So what happens is the females can lay up to 400 eggs. And when these eggs hatch, you have very hungry little larvae that is munching on your cereal or your pecans or whatever. And you have to find out where that infestation is. Where is that little nest? You'll see the little maggots crawling. You'll see moths flying. But you need to find, there's usually like a little silky web where it actually started. And they can easily get into anything with a cardboard box or some flimsy or plastic packaging, which again is a reason to keep things here. Does this stop the infestation? No, not necessarily. I once had some, I think it was pecans in a pint jar like this. And open up the jar and had to hurry up and put the lid back on. There were the moths. They had spun all the way down here, but the good part was it contained them. Those larvae couldn't get out, so it was easy to dispose of. So if you do have a problem, you want to take everything off your pantry shelves, clean them real well, look in the corners, make sure there isn't any webs or little maggots. And yes, it's little white maggots. Clean it well and then inspect everything before you put it back. And if you do find a problem, you do not want to throw this in the kitchen trash. You want to make sure it's outside in the garage so more infestation doesn't happen. And you can think you got it all, but there's a cycle and ones hatch again. It's very, very frustrating. But one of the things I use and always have on hand are these pantry moths. Don't want to open it up because I don't need it right now, but they come in a little thing like this, and then they're kind of like a little tent that you set up, and the inside is sticky, but they also contain a pheromone that attracts the male moths. So the male moths fly into this little tent and they stick, and it is kind of sad because you see them fluttering and they stick there until they die. But it does work well, so that male moth cannot fertilize more eggs with that female, so you have more of a problem. But you want to have these on hand, so as soon as something happens, you got your little tent up, you're catching them, you're trying to kill the other moths, and you're looking all over your pantry to see where the problem is. If you have freezer space, it's a great idea to keep things like your grains, your flours, your nuts, those type of things in the freezer, and then you don't have to worry about it. So keep your pantry safe. Have something to repel or to catch mice, and have something for the Indian meal moth. Be prepared before something happens. And I would love to hear from you down below. What kind of pantry pests have you had in the past, and what you've done to take care of them? Thank you so much. Remember, stay safe, and please subscribe and share the knowledge. Thumbs up if you like this video.